My beloved child, pause for just a heartbeat, because there are moments that arrive so quietly that most people mistake them for ordinary days. Yet hidden inside one of those moments is a doorway that only a prepared heart can recognize. If you keep listening, you may begin to understand why this message feels strangely familiar, as though it has been waiting for you long before you ever pressed play. A surprising gift has begun moving in your direction. Not simply because of chance, not because of perfect timing, but because your journey has slowly shaped you into someone capable of seeing value where others only notice numbers. The title may have caught your attention with the image of a stranger sending something extraordinary, yet the deeper story is not about money at all. It is about trust, wisdom, patience, and the quiet choices that reveal who you truly are when no one is watching. Don't skip. Because the first test never arrives with loud music or dramatic signs. It arrives disguised as a simple moment when you are invited to decide whether excitement will lead you, or whether peace will remain your guide. Think about the times you wished life would suddenly change. Think about the evenings when you wondered whether your effort had been noticed by anyone beyond your own reflection. Those moments were never wasted. They were gently preparing your heart for a blessing that asks one question before it ever reveals itself completely: can you remain grateful before you know the full outcome? Many people celebrate only after receiving something visible, but a quieter soul learns to celebrate the possibility of goodness while the future is still unfolding. That is the difference this story quietly uncovers. Imagine receiving unexpected news that fills your thoughts with excitement. Most would rush forward without pausing to breathe. Yet you are being invited into something different. The first response is not speed. It is stillness. It is the ability to smile without losing perspective. It is the wisdom to welcome hope without letting it become impatience. Stay till the end, because something important is waiting for you, and its meaning becomes clearer with every passing moment. There is a reason this message found you today instead of yesterday or tomorrow. Somewhere inside you, a quieter version of yourself has been growing stronger, learning that the greatest opportunities rarely ask for louder voices, they ask for steadier hearts. And just when it seems the story has revealed everything, another layer begins to appear, because the stranger is only one piece of a far greater picture, and the real test has not yet introduced itself. An unexpected realization begins to rise now. Not like a flash of lightning, but like the first light before sunrise, gentle enough to be overlooked by anyone who is in too much of a hurry. Yet you have stayed, and because of that, another piece of the story quietly reveals itself. The stranger was never meant to become the center of your attention. Their appearance simply marked the beginning of a lesson that reaches much deeper than a single moment. Every meaningful gift carries an invisible invitation, and that invitation always asks the same silent question: who are you becoming while you wait? That question cannot be answered with words. It is answered through your thoughts, your patience, and the calm decisions you make when excitement whispers for you to rush ahead. There is something remarkable about a person who can receive unexpected good news without allowing it to change their character. That kind of person remains generous before receiving more, remains thankful before seeing every answer, and remains kind even when no reward has yet appeared. Those qualities often seem ordinary, yet they quietly shape extraordinary futures. This is why today's message feels different. It is not encouraging you to chase something that shines for a moment. It is inviting you to become someone who can recognize lasting value even when it arrives in simple clothing. Have you noticed how the greatest turning points rarely announce themselves? They often arrive disguised as ordinary conversations, quiet mornings, or brief encounters that seem unimportant until much later. Looking back, people often realize that everything began with one small choice they almost ignored. Perhaps this is why your heart felt drawn here today. Something inside you recognized that this story was speaking about more than a transfer, more than a stranger, more than an unexpected surprise. It was speaking about readiness. Don't skip, because readiness is never measured by what you possess. It is revealed by what you protect within yourself. Peace, gratitude, integrity, hope. These become the true treasures that no circumstance can take away. As those treasures grow stronger, opportunities begin to feel less like accidents and more like natural results of the person you have quietly become. Yet there is still one final layer hidden beneath everything you have heard so far. The most important part of the test has remained unseen, waiting for exactly the right moment to step into the light, and when it does, you may discover that the greatest gift was never the one you expected in the beginning. A quiet shift is taking place now. Almost impossible to notice unless you have learned to listen beyond the obvious. The story has gently carried you this far because the next truth cannot be hurried. It has to arrive at the exact moment your heart is ready to recognize it. Until now, it may have seemed as though everything depended on the stranger and the unexpected transfer. But what if neither of those was the true focus? What if they were simply reflections, guiding your attention towards something much more valuable? The hidden test begins in the space between expectation and response. It is the moment when excitement encourages you to think only about what you might receive, while wisdom quietly asks what you are willing to become. That small difference changes everything. Some people see an unexpected opportunity and immediately begin counting possibilities. Others pause for a moment, breathe deeply, and allow gratitude to arrive before certainty does. It is often that second response that opens doors the first one never notices. There is a reason patient hearts often recognize meaningful opportunities sooner than hurried minds. Patience sharpens perception. Gratitude clears vision. Humility keeps your hands open without making them restless. These qualities cannot be purchased, borrowed, or rushed into existence. They are built through countless ordinary days that seemed unremarkable at the time. Perhaps you wondered why certain seasons of your life felt slower than you hoped. Perhaps you questioned whether anything meaningful was happening at all. Yet those quiet seasons were teaching you to carry abundance without letting it carry you. Stay till the end, because something important is waiting for you, and it has been hidden in plain sight from the very beginning. Imagine receiving something valuable while also discovering that the greatest reward is the confidence to remain peaceful regardless of the outcome. That kind of confidence cannot be shaken by changing circumstances. It becomes part of who you are. Suddenly, every conversation feels different. Every opportunity is approached with calm instead of urgency. Every blessing is received with thankfulness instead of fear that it might disappear. Now another detail begins to emerge, one that has remained almost invisible until this very moment. The stranger may never fully understand the impact of what they set into motion. Their role was simply to awaken a realization that had been quietly waiting inside you all along. Yet before this journey reaches its most meaningful turning point, one final question still remains unanswered, a question so personal that only you can respond to it. And the answer to that question will reveal why this entire story had to unfold exactly the way it did. The moment you've been approaching has been unfolding much more quietly than anyone could have predicted. Nothing has been demanding your attention. Nothing has been forcing a decision. Instead, Every part of this journey has been gently preparing you for a single realization that changes how you see every blessing that follows. The final test is not whether you recognize an unexpected opportunity. It is whether you can hold on to your peace after recognizing it. Anyone can feel hopeful when life suddenly seems brighter. But a steady heart continues to shine even before every answer appears. That quiet confidence becomes a light that influences every choice, every conversation, and every new beginning. Perhaps you have noticed something changing within yourself as these words continue. Not because someone has promised you certainty, but because you are beginning to remember something you already carried deep inside. You were never meant to measure your future only by what arrives in your hands. You were meant to measure it by what grows within your spirit, wisdom that remains calm, gratitude that does not depend on circumstances, and kindness that becomes stronger each time it is shared. Don't skip, because this next realization is easy to miss. Imagine the stranger looking at you for only a brief moment. They would never see the late nights when you kept believing during uncertainty. They would never know the quiet lessons that shaped your character. They would only see the person standing before them today. Yet everything they noticed in that single moment was built over countless unseen days. That is why the greatest rewards often appear to arrive suddenly, even though they have been quietly growing beneath the surface for much longer than anyone realizes. As this understanding settles into your heart, something else begins to make sense. The unexpected transfer was never the destination. It was the invitation. It invited you to recognize that true abundance always begins with a prepared heart. Once that foundation is established, every opportunity is viewed differently. Instead of asking, "What can I gain?" you begin asking, "How can I use this wisely? How can I bring hope, generosity, and purpose wherever I go?" Those questions transform ordinary moments into meaningful ones. Stay till the end, because another layer is still waiting. There is one final piece of this story that has remained hidden until now. It explains why this message reached you today, why the stranger appeared when they did, and why the greatest surprise was never the transfer itself, but the unexpected discovery that was quietly waiting on the other side of the test. Now the silence itself begins to speak, and if you listen closely, you may notice that it has been guiding you from the very first sentence. Every step of this journey has been leading toward a discovery that cannot be handed to you by another person. It has to awaken from within. That is why the story never rushed. Some truths become meaningful only after the heart has walked beside them for a while. Think back to the very beginning. A stranger. An unexpected transfer. A mysterious test. At first, they seemed like separate pieces. But now they begin to fit together, not as a puzzle about receiving something valuable, but as a reminder that life's greatest opportunities often arrive wrapped inside ordinary moments. The stranger represented the unexpected. The transfer represented possibility. The test represented character. And character is always the part that remains long after every opportunity has passed. There is a beautiful reason this matters. Imagine someone placing something precious in your care. They are not only trusting your hands, they are trusting your heart. They are trusting that excitement will not replace wisdom, that confidence will not replace humility, and that gratitude will remain even after the moment loses its novelty. Those are the quiet victories that shape a remarkable life. Something important is waiting for you. Not somewhere far away, but within the next decision you make after this message ends. Perhaps it will be a simple act of patience. Perhaps it will be choosing peace instead of worry. Perhaps it will be offering kindness when no one expects it. These moments rarely attract attention, yet they quietly become the foundation for everything meaningful that follows. Have you noticed how different this journey feels now? What first sounded like a story about receiving has slowly become a story about becoming. That change is no accident. The greatest gifts rarely transform our circumstances before they transform our perspective. Once your perspective changes, the world begins to feel different, not because everything around you has changed overnight, but because you now notice possibilities that were always there, waiting for a heart prepared to recognize them. As this chapter gently comes to a close, one final mystery remains untouched. The stranger's role may be finished, but another person is about to enter the story, someone whose arrival will reveal why every quiet lesson, every patient moment, and every hidden test had to happen in this exact order. When that encounter unfolds, the meaning of everything you've heard so far will become clearer than ever before. Without warning, the story opens one more door. Not with noise, but with a quiet certainty that feels as though it has been waiting for this exact moment. You may have expected another dramatic twist, yet what arrives instead is something far more lasting. The next person to step into this journey does not appear to change your life in a single conversation. They simply notice something that many others have overlooked for years. They notice your calm. They notice your patience. They notice that you no longer chase every opportunity that flashes before you. And that quiet difference begins to create opportunities that cannot be forced. This is where the hidden meaning of the test finally starts to reveal itself. The transfer was never meant to impress you. It was meant to reveal you. It quietly uncovered whether your first instinct would be gratitude or impatience, whether your focus would remain on purpose instead of appearance, and whether you could carry hope without letting it become haste. These answers were never spoken aloud, yet they became visible through the way you continued your journey. There is something extraordinary about a person who can remain unchanged by sudden success and unshaken by unexpected delays. Such a person carries a rare kind of confidence. One that does not depend on applause or perfect circumstances. That confidence becomes a silent invitation. People begin to trust them. Doors begin to open naturally. Meaningful conversations begin to appear at exactly the right time. None of it feels rushed because it was never built on urgency. It was built on readiness. Don't skip, because this realization may become the most valuable part of everything you've heard. Every season that seemed slow was quietly strengthening your foundation. Every unanswered question was teaching you how to keep moving with hope. Every ordinary day was shaping the person who could eventually recognize an extraordinary moment without being overwhelmed by it. Looking back, you may even smile at the paths you once wished had changed sooner, because now you can see they were preparing you instead of delaying you. The journey is almost ready to reveal its deepest truth. The stranger, the unexpected gift, the quiet test, and every lesson along the way have all been pointing toward one final discovery. It is not hidden in a message, a number, or a surprise waiting around the next corner. It is hidden in the realization that the greatest treasures are entrusted to hearts that have learned to remain steady, thankful, and wise before they ever arrive. And just beyond this moment, one last piece of the story is waiting to complete everything. When it is finally revealed, you will understand why nothing in this journey happened too early, nothing happened too late, and why the greatest blessing was quietly taking shape long before you ever knew to look for it. At last, the final veil begins to lift, not with a grand announcement, but with the kind of quiet understanding that stays with you long after the words have ended. Every chapter of this journey has been leading here, to a realization so simple that it is often overlooked. The blessing was never asking whether you were lucky enough to receive it. You became slower to rush, quicker to appreciate, and more willing to trust the value of steady steps over sudden excitement. That quiet change is the true reward of this story. There is a beautiful pattern woven into life. Opportunities may arrive without warning, but lasting fulfillment is built long before they appear. Every patient decision, every thoughtful choice, every moment you chose kindness over impatience became part of a foundation that could support something meaningful. Nothing was wasted. Even the seasons that felt ordinary were quietly preparing you for extraordinary moments that would only make sense when viewed from the other side. Something important has been waiting for you from the very beginning, and now you can finally see it. It was never hidden inside a transfer, a message, or a stranger's actions. It was hidden inside your ability to recognize that true abundance begins with character. When gratitude becomes your first response, wisdom becomes your guide. When peace becomes your companion, opportunities stop feeling accidental and begin feeling purposeful. And when generosity becomes part of who you are, every blessing finds a place where it can grow instead of simply passing through. As this journey reaches its gentle conclusion, imagine stepping into tomorrow with this quiet confidence. Not because every question has already been answered, but because you no longer need certainty before choosing hope. You no longer need perfect conditions before showing kindness. You no longer measure life's richness only by what arrives in your hands, but also by what continues to grow within your heart. The stranger's role has ended. The test has been completed. But your story is only beginning. Somewhere ahead, another unexpected opportunity will quietly cross your path. When it does, you will not recognize it because it shines brighter than everything else. You will recognize it because you have become the kind of person who sees value where others only see coincidence. And that, my beloved child, is a treasure that no one can give you, and no one can take away. My beloved child, even after the story seems complete, there is one quiet echo that deserves to remain with you. Long after the stranger has continued their journey and the mystery has faded into memory, one question will gently return whenever life places an unexpected opportunity before you: who am I becoming through this moment? The answer will never be found in what you receive. It will always be found in how you respond. Years from now, you may not remember every detail of this story, but you will remember the feeling it awakened. You will remember that the most meaningful gifts rarely arrive with perfect certainty. They arrive wrapped in ordinary moments that ask for wisdom before celebration, patience before excitement, and gratitude before results. Those quiet choices become part of your character, and character continues working long after circumstances have changed. There will be mornings when the path ahead looks wonderfully clear, and there will be evenings when the next step feels hidden from view. In both seasons, the same truth remains. A peaceful heart notices possibilities that an anxious mind often overlooks. A thankful spirit discovers joy in places where others see only waiting. A generous soul leaves every encounter richer, not because it gives away possessions, but because it offers encouragement, hope, and kindness without expecting anything in return. If this journey has left you with anything, let it be this gentle reminder. Never underestimate the power of small, faithful decisions. The quiet conversation you choose to have, the thoughtful word you offer, the patient pause before making an important choice, these simple moments shape a future more beautifully than hurried victories ever could. Life has a remarkable way of connecting those unseen moments into opportunities that seem almost perfectly timed. And so the story does not truly end here. It simply becomes part of your own journey. The next chapter will not be written by a mysterious stranger or an unexpected message. It will be written by the calm, wise, and grateful person you continue choosing to become. That is the lasting treasure this journey has quietly placed in your hands, and it will continue growing every time you walk forward with hope, humility, and an open heart.